From the Daily Mail, the British women going to the jungle for sex with migrants. Whistleblower claims some aid workers have multiple partners in a day. Calais volunteers have been accused of having sex with camp migrants. Whistleblowers claim some are having several sexual partners in one day. It is alleged some volunteers are suing the camp as a free-for-all festival. Some aid workers said the allegations should have been kept private. Oh, wouldn't that benefit you? Calais aid workers volunteering in the jungle have been accused of having sex with migrants, some of whom are believed to be underaged. According to a whistleblower, again, white women aping the mating patterns of the sodomite. This is why they hang out with each other. They're kindred spirits, right? The revelations have caused a furious row on Facebook, with some volunteers claiming the allegations should have remained secret and criticized the whistleblower for expressing his concern. Who are you to judge love, you bigot? According to the whistleblower, some volunteers avail of the service of the jungle camp prostitutes, while others have multiple partners in one day. Oh, here we go. One whistleblower revealed the extent of sexual abuse of vulnerable refugees at the jungle camp at the hands of unscrupulous aid workers, some of whom used the women as prostitutes. So it's men and women. That's wonderful. The whistleblower said, I have heard of boys believed to be under the age of consent having sex with volunteers. I've heard stories of men using the prostitutes in the jungle too. I've heard volunteers having sex with multiple partners in one day, only to carry on in the same vein the following day. And I know that I'm only hearing a small part of a wider scale of abuse. Other aid workers have complained that unscrupulous volunteers are treating the camp like a free-for-all festival and find it difficult to keep it in their pants. The original allegations were aired on a Facebook thread concerning the People-to-People Solidarity group, which has since been deleted. It was claimed that female volunteers were more likely to have sex with male migrants than any other combination. And that was actually the previous headline before Daily Mail edited the headline. One volunteer was described as having a bad reputation for sleeping with male refugees and was asked to leave the camp. One male volunteer had to be persuaded by other male volunteers against returning to due to his inappropriate behavior with female refugees. Like everyone, it's like this. It's like the bell curve. It's like, it starts off low on one end, it goes up, and then comes back down and flatlines at the other end, like to near zero, right? That's what civilization is. And at both ends of the bell curve, you get the same kind of behavior. It's worse if you're at the end of that trajectory, because you're fallen. You should know better, but you don't, which is the definition of a fool. Some volunteers have claimed critics are more interested in maintaining their reputation than preventing further incidents of sexual abuse in a similar manner to the Catholic Church. The whistleblower has prompted a furious row on a volunteering Facebook page. One commenter described relationships between volunteers and migrants as inappropriate. Turn up your volume and you might hear the trains. So yeah, one commenter described the relationships between volunteers and migrants as inappropriate. In my view, most defo beyond inappropriate. Breaches all sorts of codes, highlights massive deceit of integrity, blurs reciprocal boundaries beyond measure. Ugh. Pretty much no different to sex tourism. This is the only sort of stuff that makes others with better resolve cringe. Need to have a rock-solid mindset that separates the camp environment from that of a free-for-all festival. If you're incapable of keeping it in your pants, then consider whether you ought to be there. It's interesting. Southeast Asia is a place very known. It's very famous for its sex tourism. I would like to know how many crusty old Brits are keeping that propped up. How many crusty old Brits have played their role in keeping that a viable operation. According to the original post, the whistleblower claimed, I've heard of boys believed to be under the age of consent having sex with volunteers. I already read that part. And I also know that I'm only hearing a small part of wider scale abuse. Read that part. Several volunteers severely criticized the whistleblower for discussing the abuse allegations in an open forum. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Just shut up. Don't say anything about anything, okay? It's nice and pleasant here with lots of love happening. Just shut up. How'd that Screwdriver song go? You're up awake for the white man's sake. Is this what they had in mind? However, one volunteer defended him, claiming it always really worries me that we're more concerned with the press / our reputation than we are with the sexual abuse itself. A good point. According to The Independent, some volunteers believe sexual relationships between aid workers and refugees is natural, while others believe it breaks the usual codes of conduct. Getting fucked by an illiterate feral savage is natural? Oh, I guess in a primitive sense. It's all how primitive people care about is getting their tingles. You know, I talked about the danger of cunnilingus last week, and people got very mad at that. So it goes to show you where their priorities are. And it matches up with the assertions I have made over the last year that that's all white people give a fuck about anymore. I desire no association with that kind of mindset. Well, it's a mindset we are hell-bent on having. In my experience and in experiences of those I talk to, you can talk about most subjects. You can have opinions that are beyond the pale that contradict the social orthodoxy, and they don't mind too much. But once you get to the subject of their cummies, they get very defensive. In fact, they get very angry when you have even a notion that appears to threaten their ability to get their cummies, to get their nut, to get their orgasms. You can cross any line, but that's the line you can't cross in the eyes of so many people, in the perception of so many people. And why is this? Because we tell ourselves that those who represent the most sexual beings, the most sexually liberated beings, well, yeah, cum and freedom are conflated. They're given the same attribute. And we in the West, white people, we have an almost pagan devotion to freedom. I figured out that a lot of people value the homosexual above all else back in the day when I was reading a lot of libertarian blogs. So they saw the homosexual as the height of liberty. Like, they have achieved in their lives the ideal of liberty, which is why people are very sensitive when you tell the truth about what the sodomite really does, how they really are. I found this attitude to be prevalent, not just in obscure, fringe political blogs. It is through my dealings with the common people in broaching these subjects that I find that this is what most people value above all else. Why would they react in such a way if they didn't? So these Calais workers, these Calais aid workers, these people monitoring refugee camps, they also represent an ideal of freedom, freedom, freedom.